Hello, everybody. I am here with the awesome Mel Rollason from Spotlight Reporting. Mel and I have known each other for a while now. This is not our first rodeo of doing something together, so I'm very excited about it. Guys and girls, I'm just, as people are arriving, oh, actually, do you know what? I haven't made it so everyone can chat. Can you let me know in the chat box that you can see us and hear us? That would be a good place to start. Mel, can you speak so we can make sure you can be heard too?
Can you hear me? Yes.
I can hear you. I can hear you. Hopefully others can. Let us know in the chat box, guys. Yes, awesome, fab, super. Awesome. That's great. Right. Okay. So what I am going to do is, as you guys know, we always have to do an intro. And I have one here for Mel, and I'm going to read it. I'm not going to try and say that I know exactly what's on it. So I'm going to read it. But so those of you who don't know Mel, you can get a bit of an overview of her. So Mel is one of you guys. She is a well-established chartered accountant. I am not. Okay. Mel's career began at KPMG in the late 90s. You're showing your age there, love.
I know. Or we should take that out.
Right? You didn't need to put that bit in the bio. You could have just said, yeah, delete. Right. Moving forward, no more.
Delete. No.
Exactly. Yeah. After various accountancy positions in the retail sector, she ran her accounting practice for 13 years and saw for her own eyes the rapid digital shift in the accountancy world. So when Mel and I first started chatting, we got on really well because we both had the same view of how it has to be run now. So she has a passion for helping practices make the very best use of technology, hence why she works at Spotlight, helping them save vast amounts of time. So who would like, put your hand up if you'd like to save vast amounts of time and increase their fees dramatically to make more profits. Who'd like that too? So saving time, making more profits. I think we'd all put our hand up for that. Great, Mel, thank you so much for joining us. What's the plan today? Like, you're here, you're coming to talk about advisory, you're from Spotlight. We're talking about how to leverage technology with advisory. What are you doing? Share.
Amazing. I have got some slides to share, Amanda, and I want to say to the audience at the outset, this is not a demo or a sales pitch. I am not a salesperson. I'm an accountant, and I look after customers, and I make sure that they use our software in the best way they can to get the most value out of it and to transfer that value to the client. So to really show the client how much value they've got from this new piece of kit. Yeah. So yeah, I don't want it to be a sales pitch at all. So please don't all suddenly log off and go, no, not interested. I'm here to just basically spread the word of how I speak to hundreds of firms every year. I spread the word of all the golden nuggets I hear from those firms on how they're doing it. So yeah, awesome. So I've got some slides to share. Shall I share them?
Yeah, let's kick off with the slides. Guys and girls, if you can put your questions in the chat box, I'm going to be terribly rude and interrupt Mel completely throughout all of this. So if you tell me your questions as she's going through stuff, then I can just like completely interrupt and ask those questions.
Absolutely.
For me, I feel really excited about this because whilst I specialize in helping you get your advisory offer together and get your experience and your education, sometimes having a bit of tech can be really, really handy to support you in that delivery. So yeah, I feel like I might learn some stuff today as well, which is very exciting.
Well, we'll see. Okay. Yeah. Well, you've already done my introduction, so let's move on to what I'm going to cover today. So the agenda of today is to have a little look firsthand really at the accounting industry's shifting dynamics. I mean, like you've already introduced me, I was going to do that at this stage, but I have been on both sides, and I did turn up at KPMG and have a key to a data room with mountains of paper behind it, which we locked every day, you know, with bank statements, all of that old-fashioned stuff. And in my own practice, I had clients turning up with shoeboxes and the old way, really. So I'm totally fascinated by that, and we'll touch on that just quickly at the start. And then I'm going to have a look at how I see it best. And I'm by no means perfect, obviously, but how I see it working really well in terms of crafting a compelling value proposition for your advisory service, and how to do that through using software. So I will pop into Spotlight just quickly to show you how firms are using Spotlight to help them leverage that lasting client relationship. And finally, I'll end on some strategies for success. As I've said, I talk to lots and lots of customers throughout North America, throughout EMEA, and every single day, and I've sort of stolen their best ideas. So, and we'll obviously put your questions in the chat and we'll answer them as we're going along. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Can I ask a question before we start?
Please do.
Actually, I'm going to ask two questions. Question number one, is anyone on the line a Spotlight user? So let us know if you're a Spotlight client. Say yes or no in the chat box. Yes means you are, no means you're not. Okay, just to clarify. All right. So, yep, Alice's, Mark is awesome, great. Nicole isn't. Okay, super. So how many of you are you offering advisory? So yes or no in the chat box. Are you offering advisory? Let me know how many of you are offering advisory. Great. Awesome. So everybody on the line right now who is answering, which is many, are saying yes, they're offering advisory. So we're all in the right place. That's awesome.
Okay. Amazing.
Okay, super. Great. Back to you, Mel.
Okay, thank you. So sorry, I've got to move my face out the way and your face, Amanda. So what's happening in the accounting world? I think we're well aware of this, but I've just said that the accounting world has changed. I believe it's definitely for the better. Firms that I see that are adopting the new technology are really reaping the rewards of this, and they are able to build client relationships to help them embrace that change. I think that tech and tech stacks, when firms have got tech stacks in place, saving tons of time and opening up opportunities for those client conversations with that data that is really relevant, that certainly I didn't have when I had my own practice. I think in my own practice, I used to just talk to clients maybe twice a year. If they didn't have a VAT return, I'd talk to them once, asking them for their information annually, and I'd secondly give them their tax bill, and that was literally it. I mean, how terrible is that?
Yeah. Well, that's all people thought that they wanted from their accountant, but now our buyer is more educated and knows that they can and need more from accountants. So that's what we have to show up and give, isn't it?
Totally. And we've got that technology and that tech stack in place. So we have got that data, which is really relevant. And I've just said that technology obviously provides essential collaboration, and it's really improving the efficiency of the traditional compliance work. I know that you bang on about the volume firm, the monster firm, Amanda. Yeah. And when I had my practice, it was the monster firm. Hands up, it's all I did was compliance. And I didn't really have much tech in place at all because there wasn't really any at the time.
No, that's right.
I think it's really important to adopt that tech. And every week and every day, I hear different stories of different tech that firms are adopting. This week, I was talking to a customer and she said, oh yeah, I've now got a bot who's reviewing my bookkeeping. So I'm thinking about, reducing my number of bookkeepers down. And obviously she's still got to be able to review the bookkeeping. But yeah, there are some incredible pieces of technology out there that if you get lined up in your tech stack, I think you can really fine tune that compliance work and open up huge opportunities to do the funky advisory stuff.
Yeah, and the advisory stuff is not going to get taken over by AI, because you need a human to be empathetic. At the moment, AI isn't empathetic. So that's the key, isn't it, with advisory?
Totally not. Yeah. And I think the advisory stuff is the real human touch. Having that human to human relationship with the client is really what they value.
Yeah.
I've said that advisory is here to stay. Certainly is. It's not going anywhere. It's been a buzzword for a very long time. But I think that it's giving people a real competitive edge now, people that can market themselves as advisors as well as accountants. And those are two separate things. Or, I'd call an advisor more like a business coach nowadays. It's a totally separate thing to being the compliance accountant. And I think that clients are really struggling more now than ever, with interest rates being really high. Economic pressures are really tight, and I think that accounting firms that can offer that extra service in terms of advisory are really going to reap those rewards.
100%. Awesome. Thank you. Great overview. Love it.
Amazing. Okay, shall I move on? If we had any more questions?
Let's go on.
You can see my face is on the screen, but I'll move it down a bit. So I've just had a look at what I think. I might be wrong, but I've said that the new accounting industry, still a typical accounting firm, still offers a disproportionate focus on compliance work. I've said 80% of fee revenue is from compliance, and that's not going away. You know, you've still got to file tax returns, you've still got to prepare financial statements, still got to do VAT returns, etc. And you know, it's a very stressful world to live in. When I had my own practice, I used to be terrified of the postman coming every day and that brown envelope dropping on my doorstep. You know, you just, what have I forgotten to do? All of that is not going away. But I think with tech stack, and also with a bit of insight into which clients you want to take on and which clients not to touch anymore, taking the right clients on, you can free up some time and reap the rewards from it, and do some advisory work.
Yeah, amazing. And I think that although like 80% of fee revenue comes from compliance, it doesn't have to be 80% of the work moving forward. We can change that. That's where it's at. I work with a lot of accountants that get that side of the business functioning really well, so that it gives insights, and then the advisory actually is where all the profit's made. Because that is systemized to the hilt, which is amazing. So absolutely brilliant.
Absolutely. Very good point. This is interesting. This is something we call the usefulness gap. And I've said the usefulness gap is not your typical expectation gap. It's the difference between what we could provide as the accountant and what we actually do for our customers. And I think it's a real shame. I think accountants, like I said a minute ago, are best placed to be the advisors for their clients. They know the finances. They understand the link between the balance sheet, the P&L, the cash flow forecast. And they are just digging in the compliance work all the time and leaving most customers with less than optimal practical support, insight and advice. It's such a wasted opportunity. Most accountants, or I think every single accountant, is a highly qualified person, you know, spent years doing exams, both in getting accountancy qualifications, but also done A-levels, probably been to university, spent years in industry, really understand the stuff really, really well. What a waste to just sit there and do a VAT return. Do
you know what? The thing that stops you moving into advisory, guys and girls, is confidence. Because you've got everything. It's just the confidence. And I have my clients come to me and they're like, I really want to do it. And I'm like, well, the first thing we've got to do is do the mindset shift. You've got to shift from where you are to where you want to be. And you've got to believe. And if you don't believe in yourself, then you're not going to have anybody else believe in you and buy your advisory services. And this is why having a tool like this is really useful as well, because that will give you the confidence to and build on it, because you've got a framework and a structure around it.
Exactly. Once you've got that standard framework, then you can build around it, and you could start using it as your sort of speaking point. And because accountants, I speak to so many practices that are really struggling to recruit at the moment, because they want to recruit a slightly different person now. They don't want to recruit a number cruncher. They want to recruit somebody who can be client facing, and that's quite a difficult person to find, somebody who is client facing as well as being an accountant. And you're totally right. It's all about confidence.
100%. I just want to go off on a tangent very quickly. John has asked about the bookkeeping review bot. Do you know the name of it at all?
I think it's called Bots for You. Let me just, I'll tell you what, I'll look it up afterwards and I'll let you know, Amanda.
Yeah, that's great. So John, we'll let you know. You heard.
We'll let you know. We'll let you know.
You don't need me to tell you that. They can hear. It's not like I'm having a separate conversation. Let me just ask Mel.
I've written it down, and I did have it on my other screen, but I've taken everything off my other screen. So it's having a nose. Okay, I'll move on. Now, this is really interesting. I won't spend too long on this, but I've said ban excuses. I think you've got to take a step back and have a think about what your why is as an accountant, and then hang tough and hold true to your why. When I was in practice, I didn't want to be there to just do compliance, to just do VAT returns and tax returns and limited company accounts. I think that's where I went wrong. That's why I sold my practice. I think if you do, absolutely fabulous, and that's what you want to do in life, happy days. But if your why is a bit more than that, and you want to really help your client, really help them purchase a new office or whatever it is that their aim is in life, find out what their why is as well, then you've got to ban all these excuses. it's so easy to just let time go on and never really look at the bigger picture and think about what you really want to do with yourself. And
yeah, 100%. And for me, it's whatever you focus on, you get in life. So if you say, oh, I don't have enough time to do this, you're never going to have enough time to do it. If you say, oh, I have to spend money to do this, fine, then don't spend the money, but you won't make the money. It's really interesting dichotomy that, like, you just have to switch your mindset to the opposite of what you're running at the moment to overcome it.
And that's so difficult. You know, I used to spend every January complaining, I'm never doing another January ever again, to my husband, and every January I'll do the same January again. I have exactly the same issues, because you just are too busy. You don't really want to change the norm. So I think it's too easy to ban excuses, and if you don't eliminate them and take out those obstacles, you won't create the new accounting industry of the future. So have a good what your why is, and don't be disappointed.
And I would say, and I always say this, and I feel really rude when I say it, but it's like Richard Branson, Oprah Winfrey, Steve Jobs, they managed to have massive businesses, do loads, they still exercise. Richard Branson spends all day playing tennis, and he still manages to do everything. So if he can do it, so can you. He too is an introvert. So all of you, the majority of you are like, oh, I'm an introvert, and I get that totally. Like, you have no excuses. It's like there are none. The only excuse you're giving is holding you back. So
go for it.
Be more Richard. Hashtag be more Richard.
Be more Richard.
Oh, literally, as in Richard as well, from Spotlight, who's the founder of Spotlight. Hashtag be more Richard.
Yeah, be more Richard. He's probably watching this, so he'll be in love with you. Let me move on. So I've got some top tips here on how to deliver sort of best class advisory services. And I think it's all about structure. So the first one I've got is obviously focus on the big picture for your client, not the day-to-day. And offer a cadence, a regular advisory cadence with planned touch points. So whether that's a monthly service you offer them, so yes, I will give you this type of report every month, and I will deliver it to you in a monthly meeting. And I have got lots of clients that do and sit down with their clients, each one, whether it's on Zoom or in person, to go through those important reports with them and transfer that value across. Then fabulous. I have actually got some slides in a minute when I'll take us into some examples of different types of reports that our customers are using to deliver that regular cadence. I think that's really important. And I think also, you know, when I got new clients to sign up, I'd get them to tick the box saying, yeah, I'd like a self-assessment from you, and I'd like a VAT return. Why not have some tick boxes for advisory as well? You know, oh, I'd like the starter advisory package from you, and that will mean that I get this service from you every month going forwards.
Amazing.
So have a think about that.
What do you mean by focus on the big picture? Can you give us some context around that?
Yeah, so don't just focus on what's revenue doing, you know, focus on where your client's why, I guess, where you want your client to be, or where that your client wants to be. So really have that human to human contact with your client, so that you can understand from them what their main KPIs and drivers are for their business, which you then put into that report.
Amazing. So if, for example, I have a plan to pay off my mortgage in the next 4 years, right? So that's something that my accountant does know about, because I'm not backwards in coming forwards. But most people would not be telling their accountant this kind of information. So this is the kind of information that people should be getting, the accountant should be getting from their clients, because that affects how I run my business. And I take out as much money out of my business as possible at the moment, because that's what my goal is. But it doesn't look good on paper. I'm literally ripping the business. Okay. So it's understanding, what does the client in front of you want? And I think that's really important.
So important.
And it's about their life, isn't it? So big picture is about their life, not necessarily about their business, to be honest.
Exactly. You know, do they want to retire in 3 years' time, or do they want to spend 3 days on the golf course each week? Or, you know, so it's so many people want different things, and you've got to understand what that is that's driving that person. And that will then make them read that report and actually make some changes in their business, and really, you know, it'll really help them.
Yeah, amazing. I was speaking to one of my clients, Chris, yesterday, and last year together we got him 32 new clients. And I said, if we do that again this year, and by the way, those 32 new clients are paying him £1,500 a month.
Wow.
I know, really good, offering advisory. But I said, if we do that this year, I said, do you know what we're going to focus on next? We're going to reduce your hours, because he's doing 50-hour weeks. And
Oh
he's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
no, I don't want to reduce my hours. So we can't assume that. And I said, yeah, but you've got kids, do you not want to hang out with them? And he's like, no, I love what I'm doing. But it's really interesting, because I assumed he wanted his life back, and he doesn't, and I hadn't asked him. So when I was talking to him, I found that out. But actually he just wants to scale the business to the moon, and he's happy to work 80-hour weeks for it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's an story.
Conversations is the key to advisory, in my opinion.
100%, yeah. And not just giving people results, you're asking them questions all the time as well. Yeah. But we'll come into that in a minute. Next point is looking for goal setting opportunities. I mean, that's exactly what we just said, really. So much of the conversation, why to talk about the bigger picture? What do they want out of life? Finally, the next one is a lovely to have. Embed an annual budget and cash flow forecast as standard for every single client. Very easy to say that. When I was in practice, I would not have done that with my tiny weeny clients.
No.
But maybe I had the wrong clients, you know.
Yeah. Can I give an example of when I was an experiencer of Spotlight without knowing it? I would love to share that story. So my accountants were the Wow Company. I'm sure many people have heard of them, right?
Yeah.
And I remember I was in startup phase. It was 2012, 2013, and I had my end of year meeting with probably my third or fourth accountant that worked on my account. But I had an end of year meeting, and I sat there for an hour, and they brought up this document, and this document had some beautiful graphs on it. It told me what products had made money, what products hadn't. And I just sat there, and I turned to Matthew, my business partner and husband, and I was just like, wow, this accountancy firm is amazing. Look at these graphs, look at this information. And it wasn't until I went to Accountex North about 5 years ago, and I went, oh my God, it was Spotlight that they'd shared with me. But as the user, I thought they were giving me amazing advice and giving me amazing support. And I don't want to put like Spotlight in just Spotlight, but they were using a tool that produced this thing that just blew me away. I was like, wow, it was amazing. It just blew me away.
That's really good.
That from a consumer point of view, from the person who benefits from it, I was just like, wow, it's amazing, which is why I work so much with you guys, because I've experienced Spotlight on the receiving end.
Interesting. I hadn't realized that, but I mean, we get that feedback all the time, and I think it's so important. So thank you for that, Amanda.
No,
have you got any questions, or shall I move on?
I think we're all right, guys. Don't forget to put questions in the chat box. Right now it's just me and Mel. You can
we're quite happy, but anyway. The next one I think is interesting. Adopt an industry specific strategy. I think I do speak to lots of firms that just have a niche. We've got one firm that only deals with dentists. I've got another firm that only deals with creative agencies, etc. And with Spotlight, we have got a lot of industry specific templates, which will give you some advice on what KPIs to offer to that client. So for example, childcare, it would give you revenue per child. And they can say, oh, my revenue per child is dropping. What's going on? Should we increase our prices per child? You know, all that sort of interesting stuff. So I think I'd be interested in your view on this, Amanda. But I think it's quite clever to adopt an industry-specific strategy and become the expert across your firm in that industry.
100%. So for me, when I work with my guys, I like them to have industry specific, because it doesn't take long to become the expert, and experts get paid more and they get the clients. And the reason why accountants come to me over a general person that helps with offer and marketing is because I get accountants. And the reason why my accountants that have a niche specific industry can charge 3 times what a generalist can charge is because they know 3 times the amount of a generalist about that industry. I live and breathe this industry, you know. So
exactly, you'd know what the normal gross profit was. We do have a product called Spotlight Multi where you can benchmark a vertical, so you could compare anonymously, or you could name them your clients every month and say, look, you've got the best gross profit this month.
I'd love to do that for the accounting profession. Oh, that would be fun. Oh, That would be fun. I actually saw a graph of how the accounting profession is split up in revenue, and there are only 300 firms in the UK with with a turnover revenue over 500,000.
Really? Wow.
300 firms.
Golly gosh, that's incredible.
Yes. And I didn't do that research. That was somebody else. But I think it's absolutely like jaw dropping when you see people go out there and say, hey, make $1 million in your accounting firm. There's only 300 of them in this country that are doing it.
It's
like more. So yeah.
So crazy. Wow.
It's crazy. But anyway, there you go.
But anyway, there we go.
That is the power of being industry specific, because you understand stuff.
Yes. And people come to you. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
You've got that knowledge. And on that note, we've said price fairly and add value. I mean, that goes without saying. But what I'll show you in a minute, if you haven't seen the reports that I'm going to show you, is that these reports, like Amanda was just saying, are absolute golden nuggets to their client, for your client. They've never seen anything like it before. So you've got to transfer that value across to them and make sure that they realize how much value you're adding, and make sure they understand the value of them. I've got one American client I spoke to this week who has started to price on a percentage of the client's gross profit, which I thought was very interesting. So she's aiming to, improve her client's gross profit margin, and it's obviously in her personal interest to do so.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's lots
of that only offering compliance, can you? You've got to offer advisory.
You've got to. She only had a very niche advisory firm, and I thought that's the first time I've heard that, and I thought I'd share that. Interesting.
Very good. Anne Marshall's just asked, does Spotlight Reporting have reports that can be used with 0 tracking codes?
Yes, I think I know Anne. Is that Anne from one of my prior lives? I won't ask.
You do, says Anne. You do know Anne.
You do? Oh, I do. Okay. Hi, Anne. Yeah, that's really funny. Yeah, we use tracking categories. That's absolutely fine. And classes in QuickBooks. So yeah, sorry, Anne, you've taken me off track. Anyway, yeah, so I've said add value, and I've also said lift financial literacy. There are so many people that tell me their clients don't know the difference between a profit and loss account and a balance sheet.
Yep.
It's a real opportunity to teach these people, well, not teach, that sounds a little bit condescending, but to show people how their businesses work.
It's teaching. You have to teach, because as business owners, they're excited about the fact that they sell widgets. They're not excited about the numbers, but they want the outcome of the numbers. So they're not the accountant that gets excited about the numbers, but if the numbers don't give them what they want, then they're miserable. So they want the outcome of the numbers. So you do have to teach them. You do have to teach them.
You absolutely do. You need to show them what the most important number is on their balance sheet for them. Is it 100%? Is it bank balance, whatever? And obviously share success stories. If you've got a client that has suddenly gone to the bank with one of your forecasts and raised a £1.5 million loan, which we have got tons of stories like that, share them amongst your clients, and you'll be able to then grab other clients that want to do something similar.
Yeah, amazing.
So I think we've probably covered the last one, but before I dip into the products, I've got just identify 3 KPIs that are important to your business owner, and use visuals to share them. We've got, I think it's more than 160 different charts or graphs you can choose from now when you're putting a Spotlight report together, which is far too many. I mean, I can't, your average business owner is just going to be blown away by that. So just take 3 that are really important for that individual business owner and make them into a really nice visual.
Yeah, awesome. Fab. Thank you.
Okay, let's move on.
Okie doke.
Right, I've got my monetizing slides, and before I pop into the product, I'm just going to talk through these. What I find works really, really well in setting up an advisory practice or advisory services to offer 3 different tiers of advisory. So you'd have a starter package, and for something like this, you could probably charge about £200 a month to your client, and it would be a 1-pager in Spotlight. So it would be a 1-page, I call it a monthly flash report, like a dashboard with just some nice charts on it. And I'll show you one in a minute, but this is for clients that are new to advisory, very price sensitive, probably don't know the difference between a P&L and a balance sheet. And what I find works really well is if you actually record yourself on a Loom video going through those numbers, because you're not going to meet with this person in person every month, and just send that little recording of you to give them that human touch, going through the numbers alongside the PDF of the report. So yeah, that's a really good top tip that loads of people.
And actually, don't do it yourselves. Get your team members to do it.
Yes,
because like you're not in the advisory world right now when you're offering that starter package, are you? Themselves,
no,
their team
exactly.
is doing it.
Exactly, Amanda. Yeah, don't do it yourself. I find, and whilst I'm just logging into Spotlight on my other screen, I find most people nowadays are actually giving this to the junior members of their team to do, because it's really straightforward to do, and also it's much more interesting than you know, preparing a bank rec or something, the stuff that they used to do all the time that I used to do when I was a junior. So okay, so this is Spotlight. If you haven't seen it before, it works left to right. It's very straightforward and easy to use. I'm just going to look at Spotlight reporting today for this webinar. So we really haven't got time to go into everything else, but there is forecasting. There's something called dashboards. There's Multi, which was the benchmarking tool I told you about. And there's a new one called Sustain, which is ESG reporting, a whole other ball game.
Can I ask a question? What's ESG?
ESG, it's all this funky stuff, environmental, social and governance reporting. So
wow, okay.
not just carbon emissions, you know.
Oh, that's very on trend.
It's very on trend. Yeah. So
very cool. Very
so that's
cool.
a whole other service offering that accountants are starting to offer.
Wow. No wonder they're overwhelmed.
I've had lots of conversations, and in fact this morning I presented to the team all about how to collect carbon emissions. It's really very interesting. Yeah, but not for now.
No, not today.
Not today, no. So okay, so I'm going to take you into my one-pager report, which is quite simply called a monthly flash report, but that would be the client's name. And all you would do is import your data. So again, work left to right to complete your report. So you can import from Xero, from QuickBooks and Sage 50, or you can import just an Excel template. I'm not going to re-import it because I've already done it, but yeah, there's your tracking categories, Anne. And yeah, you can import actuals and budgets. Then your data lands on this tab. So you've got your P&L. You don't have to do a thing because it will have just landed in here from Xero. And you've got your balance sheet. You then customize your layout. And the beauty of this is you can add pages. If you want a sales demo, you can set yourselves up with the sales team. That's not for me to do now because we just haven't got the time. But you can add pages and you can save down the report template. So if you wanted to use this monthly flash report across all of your VAT return clients for July, you could save this down as a monthly flash report, and then you could sync in all of your clients and bring in all their zeros, and you can just use this template. So once you've created it, you can use it across your client base. And let me just show you what it looks like. So can you see that?
Yes,
so
we can.
I'll just move it down. So it quite nicely shows you a little bit more than the average Xero report. So for example, your cash high and low balances for the last 11 months. So you'd say to this client, look, your lowest cash balance for the last 11 months is trending downwards. Did you realize that for a start? Do you need to talk to your bank manager and extend your overdraft facility? But the bigger picture, do you want me to start producing a cash flow forecast for you going forward so that we can really dig into your business and see what your drivers are to help you? So that's a really powerful, really powerful graph. I've got so many people using this. You can show people what their top 10 operating expenses have been year to date, or this is just an example, but in this one you'd say, golly gosh, as it's a visual, you can see that rent expense is horrendous. Why are we spending so much on rent? Again, net operating profits, how that's trending against budget, and revenue, how that's been trending against budget. And finally, you can now put a text panel in, and this can either be automated so that it just puts in what you ask it to do every month, or how I've seen it used really nicely is for people to say, okay, the amount you've got currently saved for tax in your tax savings account is whatever, £86,000 here. And your tax liability is currently showing at £90,000. Now, those numbers you can set them up as custom tags, so they will automatically populate within the monthly flash report. So you can tell this client to transfer over the difference. So please transfer over £4,000 to your tax savings account this month. And when I was in practice, I had people that were paying their tax bills at the end of the year on a credit card, and that should not happen anymore. You should be able to be in monthly contact with the client and tell them where they are and how they stand.
Brilliant.
So
Vangi has asked whether it works with Excel-based financials. I think you said that it did, didn't it? Because they're not on QBO and Xero. So yeah.
Yeah, there's an Excel template that you can just import every month. Yeah, so
Brilliant.
Any more questions, or shall I move on to the next one?
That's it. The next slide would be awesome.
Okay, hang on. I've got to share.
You're going backwards and forwards.
I know. I'm the queen of screen share. Yeah.
That's because we do so many webinars. We're used to it.
I know.
My team, they send me a link to the stuff that they want sharing rather than sharing it themselves, because it's easier if I do it for them.
And then if somebody wants it on Teams or something, I get completely
Oh, I can't do Teams. I don't.
No. Zoom only. And then the next level up. So that was the beginner level of management reporting. I have people sending that out. I'd say, I don't know, like we call it like compliance reporting. So, they might choose to send it out next VAT return. I'm going to send that out to everybody that's having their VAT return done in July, and we'll see if they like it, basically. And yeah, you can eventually charge, I'd say, £200 upwards for one of those. This next one is your introductory level management report. Again, keep it simple, 4 to 5 pages, including executive summary, action plan, P&L balance sheet. And I'll show you an example of one of these in a minute, but it's for people that are receptive to advice, probably already meeting up with these people in person. It's your average SME. So have we got time for me to pop into Spotlight again?
Yeah. How much would you charge for something like that?
The next level up, I would say upwards of £500 a month.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Great. For a meeting once a month, yeah?
Yeah, with one of these. Yeah.
With one of those.
Yeah. Can you see that?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to take you into Bertie's Biscuits.
Good, because that sounds exciting.
Bertie is my dog, so he's not actually there. He's probably about to woof at the postman or something. He's not there at the moment. Looking behind me. Okay, so Bertie's Biscuits is, and this I've created having spoken to so many accountancy practices. So I've sort of gleaned the best from them, I guess. And again, you would import your data for your client from Xero on this one. Again, it's magically imported all of the nice numbers in from Xero, but for Bertie's Biscuits, because he's a slightly bigger client, I have actually got some non-financial data in here as well, which is worth talking about. So I've sat down with this client and I've said, oh, what is really important to you? What sort of ratios can I give you each month? So this guy wants to know what his customer satisfaction trend has been. I've got a number of new customers, and I've got a few other things I'll show you towards the end of this report. And non-financial data can be brought in via Excel, or it can also be brought in via Google Analytics. So we are integrated with Google Analytics version 4, so it will automatically add that extra layer of data on top of your Xero or QuickBooks or Sage 50. So that's quite nice. So for Bertie's Biscuits, I've got a slightly bigger report. You'll see in my customized layout. Again, I've saved the template down so I could use it across any client I wanted to, and I'll show you the report because you can't see it here, it's too small, but it's really easy to create. If I just preview it for you. Here's Bertie, okay. So it's really short: executive summary, action plan, P&L balance sheet, cash flow, and a little bit on non-financials. And this is the executive summary in Spotlight, and this is how you can use it. So on the left-hand side in white, you can see you can just put some highlights in for the business, and all of this can be auto-populated. So there's something called auto text in Spotlight. So you can see, gross profit was this compared to that last month. That is all automatically populated, so you don't have to do a thing. But if you did want to do something, if you did want to comment on that, you could obviously type whatever you wanted to. But what I find works really well is if you use your human brain a bit and you can put some recommendations for action in here. And this is what we were touching on before, where you start asking them questions and you bring in the whole holistic view of the whole firm. So for example, have we recruited a new sales manager yet? Who's leading this recruitment? Website traffic is steady, online sales are strong. Couldn't we start shipping smaller items overseas? So just really helping them in terms of the proper advisory stuff. And I've also seen that panel being used in a, points for action, points to do before next month. Like, oh, we've got some old fixed assets in our fixed asset balances. Should we be capitalizing a printer cartridge, or why are debtor days so high this month? Just things like simple accountancy things as well. So yeah, that's quite a nice executive summary is quite nice.
Brilliant.
Let me move on to the action plan. I always keep this page in. It's not relevant to some clients, but it's very relevant to others. And what you can do here is you can choose up to 6 tiles that you want to put in, and you can divide your client's business into different areas. So I've got strategy being looked after by David here. And by December, he's got a few things to do. So he's got to finalise and publish the draft strategy and share it with the board. And every time you meet up with this client, you can just drag this along. So David's doing amazingly well compared to Tom in finance, who's only done 40% of what he told you he would do. So
can I ask a question about that?
Sure.
How do they get the information to put in here? Is that just like an initial conversation that they have with him? Right.
Yeah, okay. Absolutely. So you would have to be close to that business, which is why I'm saying that you might not use it for every single client. You would have to know, exactly who's dealing with what and what their individual KPIs are for each year. But yeah.
And where does this info get pulled from? The strategy and sales info and marketing info? Did you put that in right now into this page, or did it get pulled from a master page?
No, you're in charge of that, so you control that. You put it in as you're going along. Yeah, so you update each month.
Awesome.
But it's designed to just keep the business on track, which is quite nice if you can get that information out of the client.
Yeah.
So I've got a P&L. I can't get it all on one page. I've got a small screen, but I've got a very simple P&L, but it's dummy data. It's ignore that for now. I have then put some nice graphs underneath the P&L. So this month I've decided to put net operating profit against budget. I've got revenue against budget, and I've got a trend line in there as well. And I've also put a text panel in. And I like these text panels because this is where you can really add value. So I've pointed out that gross profit actually this month is really low compared to the previous month, and it's gone down by 30%. So why? Why was cost of sales so high in February, etc. So you can really dig into the numbers with that client.
Awesome.
And that's really nice. I've got the balance sheet, which again has got some nice visuals underneath it. So there's a balance sheet components chart, which for the less numerate clients is quite nice. You can see that green is an asset and orange is a liability. And the more dark the colour, the more liquid the asset or the liability is. So that's quite a nice visual. I think every single report I've seen uses that. You can see equity trend over the last few months. You can see how receivables is broken down between aged and current receivables. So again, that's quite nice. And this is one of my favorites. This is what we call our cash flow waterfall, a cash movement summary. So it will take you from the opening balance to the closing balance in terms of a visual. So we opened at £860,000. We then received £1.1 million worth of revenue, and I won't read it all out. We've paid out some cost of sales, etc. But it's a nice picture of how the cash balance has moved. So, I mean, you obviously have the option to put the cash flow statement in, which does exactly the same. But it's quite nice and very popular. I think every report I've seen has that in. So it's quite a nice visual. And quite simply, I've just put a few non-financials in, and I've got some nice little graphs here to show how this client's customer satisfaction rating has trended, website traffic, average revenue per customer, why is that going down? We've taken on loads of new customers recently. You can really spark some really good conversations from adding non-financials in as well. Yeah.
Betty's Biscuits isn't doing very well though. Not as good as I thought it would be.
No, it's not great this month.
No.
So yeah. Any questions on that before I move on to
no, we're all good. We're fine. I think it's really interesting. I really like from a business owner, non-financial business owner myself, the graphs are the bit that make me go, ooh, I think they're excellent. Yeah. They're super cool because it's clear. I can see where I've spent my money. I can see how much tax I've paid in relation to how much money I've earned and all that kind of thing. I think it's great. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I would love to receive something like that if I was in business. Yeah. I think it's really interesting. So anything around about the £500 mark for one of those. And then The premium level would be an in-depth bespoke board level report, so longer, 7 to 8 pages, more non-financial, more KPIs. You're meeting with these people definitely monthly with the key stakeholders. You're probably doing a 3-way cash flow forecast for them as well, a rolling cash flow forecast. You might even be consolidating for them. So we've got lots of people using Spotlight to save them a ton of time on doing consolidations for multi-entities. So yeah, it would be upwards of £1,000 for one of these. In fact, I've got a North American customer who just does one. He's got one client, but it's a big consolidation every month, and he only does it for 1 day a month, and it charges $10,000. Yeah, so using this, so it's really interesting.
And that goes back to the confidence thing, doesn't it?
It certainly does.
The way that you will price your advisory services depends on one thing: how confident are you?
Yeah,
that's it. That's it.
100%. Yeah, go in, know that you can do it, and just do it.
Yeah, exactly.
So very good. Okay, let me move on because we're going to run out of time. We're having such a chatty time. I think this is my final slide. So a few top tips or a few strategies for success. I've said social media, and I'm talking a lot more to my customers now about how they market their firms. I think if you can be visible on social media, connect with your ideal client. If you do decide to go into a niche, fabulous. Connect with them every day and pester them on LinkedIn and be visible and let them know what you do. Surprise and delight. So a lot of people will just offer these for free for a few months because it's really easy once you've set up the template within your Spotlight to import a client's data and give them a report. So why not give it them for free and see what they're missing out on? And then normally 2 to 3 months later, they go, oh, I'd quite like that going forward. How much will it cost me? Yep. So definitely. The monthly flash report I've already talked about, but yeah, sending out a little Loom video to give that human touch, really good idea. And yeah, I've got all sorts of stories behind that, but that is super popular. Benchmark your clients, we've talked about, create competition. So if you have got similar verticals, we have already talked about that. You can do that anonymously, happy days. And the final thing I'm going to say is, which we haven't talked about before, is make sure that you ask for feedback from your clients. So don't just give them a report and then run away and give them the same report every month because they won't read it. So ask them what KPIs they'd like to see on their report and make it really customized to them. It's really easy to do that. And also you can give them access to their own Spotlight so they can have a play and they can create their own KPIs if they want to.
Amazing. Very good.
So that's very good. And the final page I've got is just a QR code that everyone can scan if they wanted to.
Get out your phone and scan.
I did try it earlier. It does work. Yeah.
Does it? Let me just check. Not that I don't trust you. It's just like, let's see where she's taking us. Let me test it first, guys. You never know where you'll end up.
You don't know.
Yeah, it's good.
Doesn't work.
Amazing. That's great. Awesome. Have we got any questions, guys? Put them in the chat box. Let me have a takeaway from what Mel's gone through. What's like an aha moment or a, ooh, I didn't know that, or something. What's a takeaway from what Mel's gone through? I'll have one from you, Alice, Amy, Andrea, Anne, 2 Annes, Danielle. Hey, Danielle, how you doing? Hello, Ella. God, lots of names I recognize. Hey, Farid, Holly, Jeff, Jody. Jody, this would be good for you, actually. Jody's one of my clients, and she's like looking for ways to offer really good advisory. So this could be quite good, actually. Let me have a takeaway in the chat box. Please give Mel some feedback, guys, of what have you loved, what have you learned today. That would be greatly appreciated. Mel, the packages are my biggest takeaway. Really struggled with this and how to do it. I can implement it now. Amazing. Anne, that is your friend Anne.
That's my friend Anne. I used to work with Anne a long time ago when we worked at Next together. Yeah.
God, that is
like a while ago.
Yeah. Danielle, good to see you, sweetheart. She says it's nice to see a simple but comprehensive reporting system. Yeah, I've seen inside pretty much all of the reporting systems, and Spotlight is the most easy to understand as a receiver of it as well. Jody loves the visuals. Alice says that you can automate a lot of the basics. Nicole says love the visuals and capability of the program. Ella says thanks, it was very interesting. Amy said that she liked the ideas, be visible on social media and offer for free for a few months. Seems like a brilliant idea to draw in new clients. It sure is, absolutely.
I think the hardest bit is actually knowing how to draw in the clients and how to how to set it up. But once you've set it up, that's what I do with customers. I will take them through the journey of it's not just a matter of learning how to use the software, it's how to use it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how to implement it. So once you've got that structure in place, it's you're on a roll.
Yeah,
so
amazing. Thanks, Mel. Is there anything you want to wind up with today? Is there what's the best thing for them to do if they're newbies to the product? What's the best way to get in touch with you? Is it you that they get in touch with?
Absolutely. Yeah. You can get in touch with me. I'm I don't know if my contact details are on here, but melanie.rollason@spotlightreporting.com.
You want to put it in the chat box for me?
Yeah, I'll do that now.
Save me
happy to receive any emails from you guys. That would be amazing. I'm here to help. And there is a chart. Sorry, speak
with us. So that's that works.
Yeah, please email me. There's a free trial that you can take with no obligation at all. You just have a play with it. And there's all sorts of training and videos and webinars and things you can watch on that link if you follow that QR code. So but just reach out with any questions. It's been really good fun sharing what I've learned so far.
Thanks, guys and girls. We've got another one of these coming up as well, haven't we, Mel?
Probably. Have we?
I think so. I think so. Where can they go and see you next? What's the next show? So
oh golly gosh, everything. We're doing a lot of events at the moment. So we're doing DAS next, and I'm actually on a panel at Accountex, and we're doing ZeroCon as well. I've got quite a lot of customers coming to each. So please pop in and meet us and say hello. We'll all be there. It'd be great.
Babaroony. All right.
Definitely.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you, Amanda.
Actually I was born in the 70s, not the 80s. I wish I was born in the 80s. Right.
Same here.
Thank you. Thanks, Mel. Thanks for sharing your time and your insights. That was really excellent.
Been good fun. Thank you, Amanda. See you soon.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.